The loading dock of Station Gamma 7 hummed with the usual cacophony of interstellar commerce. Cargo haulers rumbled past, their anti-grav systems whining under the weight of containers destined for distant worlds. Ethan Vale wiped the grease from his hands, squinting at the faulty hydraulic line he'd been repairing for the past 2 hours. Just another day in paradise if paradise smelled like recycled air and burnt coolant. He heard the child's laughter before he saw her. The sound cut through the mechanical drone like wind chimes in a storm. Ethan turned to see a small Velkari child, no more than 4 cycles old by his estimate, chasing what looked like a bioluminescent sphere through the crowded dock. Her crystalline skin refracted the harsh station lights into rainbows, and her 3-fingered hands grasped futilely at the floating toy. Then he saw the cargo hauler. 9 tons of durasteel and momentum, piloted by an exhausted freighter captain who hadn't noticed the tiny figure darting into his path. The hauler's warning klaxons blared, but the child, lost in her game, didn't understand the danger. Ethan didn't think. Thinking would have reminded him that he was 50 meters away. Thinking would have calculated the impossibility of what he was attempting. Thinking would have told him that a human body couldn't possibly reach her in time. His legs were already moving. The dock worker shouted. Someone screamed. The hauler's brakes engaged with a screech of tortured metal, but physics demanded its tribute. 9 tons doesn't stop on command. Ethan's boots pounded against the deck plating. His lungs burned. The distance collapsed, 40 meters, 30-20. The child looked up, finally sensing the shadow falling over her, her violet eyes wide with incomprehension. 10 meters. Ethan launched himself forward, arms outstretched, and collided with the small body. He felt her frail form against his chest as he twisted, putting himself between her and the oncoming machine. His back slammed into the hauler's forward hull with the sound of breaking bone and tearing metal. The world became pain, then pressure, then nothing at all. Ethan woke to the scent of burning sage and ozone. His eyes struggled to focus, and when they did, he found himself staring at a vaulted ceiling covered in bioluminescent patterns that seemed to breathe with their own life. The pain he expected, the agony of shattered ribs and ruptured organs, was merely a dull ache. As if his body remembered trauma from a distant dream, he tried to sit up and found a firm hand pressing him back down. Peace, human. Your bones still knit. The voice was like grinding stone shaped into words. Ethan turned his head to see a figure standing beside his bed, if it could be called a bed. The being stood nearly 8 feet tall, her body covered in segmented armor that seemed grown rather than forged. Chitinous plates overlapped in geometric perfection, and where skin showed through, it bore the same crystalline quality as the child from the dock. Karatesh, the warrior said, her hand still resting on his chest. Commander of the Velkari Honor Guard, and you, Ethan Vale, are either the bravest fool in this sector or the most foolish brave. Memory returned in fragments. The dock, the child, the impact. The girl, Ethan croaked, his throat raw. Lives, Karatesh said, and something that might have been a smile crossed her angular features. Because you decided your soft human body could argue with 9 tons of moving metal. She removed her hand and stepped back. The physician said you should have died. Your spine shattered in 3 places. Your ribs punctured both lungs. Your heart stopped twice. Ethan looked down at himself, flexing his fingers experimentally. I feel okay. How long was I? 3 cycles. We have technology your species would consider miraculous. Karatesh's voice hardened. But that is not why you wake surrounded by warriors. For the first time, Ethan noticed them. Figures stood in the shadows of the chamber, each bearing the same segmented armor, each radiating the same controlled lethality. A dozen elite soldiers, motionless as statues, watching him with eyes that glowed faintly in the dim light. The child you saved, Karatesh continued, is Velanara, daughter of the matriarch, heir to the collective of 7 sons. She knelt beside the bed, bringing her face level with his. You threw yourself before death for a child not of your species, not of your world, whom you did not know. This is not common in the galaxy, human. Most species calculate. They measure worth against cost. They ask, why should I? She was a kid, Ethan said simply. That's all the reason I needed. Karatesh studied him for a long moment, and then she did something that made every warrior in the room stiffen in surprise. She placed her fist over her heart and bowed her head. The Velkari honor debts, she said, and there is no greater debt than a life freely given. You are now Korveth, shield brother, These warriors are yours to command should you ever have need. Your enemies are our enemies. Your battles are our battles. She raised her head and her eyes blazed with something fierce and unwavering. Until the last star dies, Ethan Vale, the Velkari stand with you. Ethan looked around at the assembled warriors, each now mirroring their commander's salute. He thought about arguing about saying it wasn't necessary, that he'd just done what anyone would do. But he looked into Karatesh's eyes and saw that to refuse would dishonor the very sacrifice she was acknowledging. And maybe, just maybe, he understood something profound. That in a galaxy of calculated risks and measured responses, a single act of selfless courage could echo across species and stars. I'm just a dock mechanic, he finally said. Karatesh's smile was sharp as broken glass. No, Ethan Vale. You are the human who taught the galaxy what it means to be worthy. She stood, towering over him once more. Rest now, heal, and when you are ready, we will show you what it means to have the honor guard at your back. As Ethan closed his eyes, feeling the pull of healing sleep, he heard the soft footsteps of the warriors taking their positions around his chamber. Guards for a guard, protectors for one who had protected. In the vast darkness between stars, humanity had always been the newcomers, the unknowns, the questioned. But in one moment of pure instinct, one act of throwing himself into the path of certain death, Ethan Vale had answered a question the galaxy had been asking since humans first reached the stars. What are they made of? And the answer, written in shattered bones and selfless courage, echoed through the collective of 7 suns and beyond. Something extraordinary.